Hi, I'm Damien. I work at Liquid Kitty in West LA, California, and today we're going to show you how to make some traditional absinthe. Absinthe was a drink in the 1800s that was made. It came in at about 160 to 180 proof. It was made with wormwood, and wormwood was a root that when you dripped water on it, this is all folklore, when you drip water on it, it becomes cloudy and it releases a chemical called thujone, which was supposedly hallucinogenic. So people were getting crazy and biting each other's ears off or cutting your own ear off or getting in fights. And so around the turn of the century, around 1900, it was banned around the world. When they started doing chemical tests on it in the 30s and 40s, it turned out it wasn't hallucinogenic. It was just 160 to 180 proof. People were getting really drunk really fast and doing crazy things. So the bans started getting lifted around the world. You can get absinthe all over the place, Czechoslovakia, France, there's all kinds all over the world. In the United States, we didn't lift the ban. We still banned it. It was still a bad thing, which is funny because we could serve 151. Some states you can serve Everclear, which is 180, or grain alcohol, which is 190, which never really made sense that we couldn't serve absinthe because it was still, we're a science-based country, but the science wasn't believed yet. It was still hallucinogenic. The reason it gets cloudy is because it's the anise family liqueur. It's the same kind of stuff as Sambuca, Ouzo, Pernod, and absinthe. They're all the same family. They all get cloudy when you put water in it or you put ice in it. It's just a chemical reaction that happens with anise-based liqueurs. Finally, in 2007, there was a lobby that came around and they really pushed to legalize absinthe. So in our country's wisdom, we said, sure, you can serve it, but it can't be over 110 proof. It can only have a certain parts per million of the wormwood. But that was about 8 years ago. And since then, those restrictions have loosened. So now we can serve absinthe up to whatever proof your state will allow. Our state allows up to 151. You could buy it higher at liquor stores, but we can only serve it at 151 or lower. And as many parts per million of thujone as you want. And it's traditionally served with, we have an absinthe spoon. You can see it's perforated, it's got holes in it. You put it on top of the glass, put a sugar cube on top, pour a little absinthe over the sugar cube, gets about 2.5 ounces in there, 2 ounces, depending on where you are. We have Kubler absinthe, which is a Swiss absinthe. It's a white absinthe. And then we have Pacifique absinthe, which is an American absinthe. It's a green absinthe. Hence, that's where the green fairy came from. Then what we do is we fill this fountain full of water and ice, and we drip cold water over the sugar. It melts the sugar into the absinthe. It dilutes a little of that flavor the absinthe has. It's a really strong black licorice anise flavor. Between the sugar and the water, it'll mellow out that flavor for you, so it's a little easier to sip. And if you like black licorice, you'll love absinthe. If you don't, you're gonna hate it. First, take an absinthe glass and an absinthe spoon. We'll place the spoon on the glass so that it is suspended on top. Place the sugar cube on the spoon. Then today we're using Kubler absinthe. It's a Swiss white colored absinthe. And we'll pour a little of the absinthe on the sugar cube. And about 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces of absinthe in the glass. And then we'll light that on fire. I don't know if you can see the flame, it's a blue flame. At night with the lights out in here, it looks really bright, but today with the lights on, it's pretty bright on. It's pretty bright in here, so you can't see the flame. Then this is a water fountain full of water and ice. We just turn the fountain on a little bit, so it's dripping. If you can see that, just a little drip. And we'll let that drip onto the, I don't know if your camera can see there. Let that drip on there and dissolve the sugar. The sugar and the water mix will go down into the glass. You can see it starts to get a little cloudy as absinthe will do. It's an anise-based drink. Much like Pernod, Sambuca, Ouzo, if you put water in any of those drinks, they become cloudy. And here you can see it's getting cloudy already. Now the sugar is already melted off the spoon, you can see. We'll do a little, mix it up a little bit. Let the water flow a little faster. So it's going to wind up 2 parts water, 1 part absinthe. So we'll get it up to about where the ridges end in the glass, which will double the amount of water. Then we'll stop the water, take away the fountain. Some people will want more water in this to cut the flavor a little bit. It's a really strong black licorice flavor. If you like it, less water. If you're not too fond of it, you put more water in it, it'll cut it a little bit. But between the sugar and the water, it cuts it pretty good, and it's a really palatable drink, and it's different and it tastes great. But you gotta like black licorice. And that's your traditional absinthe. You're gonna find some absinthes come out green. It's your green absinthe. That's hence the green fairy. This one's a white one. We do carry a green one as well. But that's your absinthe. Talk about the apple martini. Local history will say that a guy named Adam Karsten created this drink in 1997 at Lola's on Fairfax, just south of Santa Monica Boulevard. I don't know if it's true or not.